Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the playoff round for first place at the 37th Farmington Miniature Golf Tournament. We're going to jump right into the tournament here, starting on hole 1. My name is Pat Sheridan. I'm from the Putting Penguin, and I am going to be your commentator for these 18 holes. Our two competitors are Dylan Corner, who just teed off, and Mark the Highlighter Novicki, who's about to tee off here on the first hole. After 3 rounds, 2 on Saturday and 1 on Sunday in August 2018, both competitors ended with a 122, forcing the 18-hole playoff for first place. As you can see, the starter hole is basically shooting through narrows. It's a little bit of a speed hole on this first hole. Both competitors putting a little bit of speed on it, putting them back to where you can see here. And as we watch Mark finish up this first hole here, he'll sink the putt, and they move on, both taking two, being tied after the first hole. The second hole here is the Lighthouse. As you can see, there's an angle shot, as my cohort from the Putting Penguin, Mandy Ranslow, will be interjecting at different periods in time here, trying to show folks the overall scorecard. But back to the Lighthouse hole here. It's an angle shot, trying to get the ball down to the second part of the green. Your best shot for the ace is off the angle and then lightly touching that inside wall of the channel to redirect it back towards the hole. The angle shot off the triangle is fairly easy for most of the tournament players, although with the concrete edging can trip you up every once in a while. The second putts from the back end of the green, where we will see Mark and Dylan hit from, are fairly straightforward, although they can be a little testy, especially if you're coming out of the quarter there versus directly back from behind the hole. And we see Dylan just slide his second putt past the cup, proving out my previous statement about the trickiness of the putt. He hits his for 3 as Mark lines up for his second shot on this hole. Dylan made an amazing comeback. He was 7 strokes down going into the final round, made those all back up, forcing the tie. A little bit of good play on his part, shooting a 39, and Mark slipping a little bit, shooting a 46 on the third round, as they both took, Mark finished with his 2 on that hole. So he is 1 up as we go into the third hole here, Old Tuffy, which is a 2-level hole. Your goal is to get it into the center channel and run it down towards the cup here. Miss short, we'll put it back towards that channel that you can see on the left-hand side. Too much power, you go over to the right-hand side. The right-hand side shot, not really easy to get the deuce on it. As Mark will finish out here, the left-hand side is deuceable with a couple different angle shots if you don't hit that main channel. What you'll see as the players play today is that they generally play with all the balls in play, so traditional mini golf rules. The player does have the option to ask the other participant if to put out the ball if he believes it is in his initial tee shot, and so he can finish up. So after the tee shot, player closest to the hole will go, so not a traditional Western or English crazy golf rules, more the United States style of mini golf. So unfortunately, we see as Dylan takes a second 3 in a row. It puts him 2 down as we go into the windmill here. Windmill, kind of a similar setup to the last hole. You want to go up and through the windmill, leads down to a big secondary green at the end. A shot that misses the windmill will come into the channel right in front of you on the screen here, setting up a very difficult shot at a 2, although the angles are there to make a run at it, although very low probability. You definitely want to get it through the windmill the first time down. Not a high possibility for an ace on this course, or on this hole, and really on a lot of holes on this course, for a variety of reasons. This particular one, the ramp that comes back down of the windmill, definitely sends the ball a little too fast to go front door, and then the concrete edging behind it is just a tad too unpredictable in terms of how the bounce comes off to play consistent backdoor shot for the ace, and you'll see that on various different holes here. That concrete edging plays a little bit of havoc with people's putts as they try to use it to get those elusive aces on this course. We see Mark line up, and just get robbed with the little toilet bowl action. This cup actually is slightly larger than a lot of the other cups on this course. Fortunately, there is a little bit of ring of concrete right around the top there that the ball just whipped around, and with that 3-2, the lead gets cut down to 1 stroke as Mark and Dylan go into the half-round hole. You'll see these two competitors are awfully quick in their play, probably 2 of the quickest that play in the tournament, so not a lot of hesitation as they line up tee shots. Dylan definitely getting around the corner here with the double bank shot, which is the play most folks go for in the tournament versus trying to go up and around the half round to get down that middle channel. Some other parts about this tournament: this is a 2-tier tournament. We had 23 players play in the 2018 edition. After the first 2 rounds, the field gets cut in half, and the top players will play for the slightly larger prizes in 1 through 5, and then the bottom players in the lower tier, those winners will play for some a little bit of cash for the top places, and then some gifts as you get through the top 5 of that lower division. So we saw Dylan hit his 2 shot there with the easy deuce setup, and yes, Mark nails his 2 shot from back around the corner. The ball actually will break towards the hole from there, so you can actually make a shot from around that brick without even seeing a straight line to the hole the way the brick does, and Mark played that beautifully. The 6th hole is a plateau, 2-tier, very large concrete hole up in front. We'll talk about how that comes into play in a minute here. Used to be a much higher percentage of aces that come down. As you can see, Dylan's just missed the hole. Mark lining up his first tee shot here. Speed a big factor here. You just want to feather it in there, and a bit too much. He looped. It'll come back out now on this tournament. That is a penalty stroke, so he is now hitting 3 to start this hole. A couple of the things you may see on this tournament: we do have to tee off from the rubber mats, as you can see here. We also have to use the course balls versus using our own personalized golf balls, whether Titleist fans, Chromax, Nike. The course balls do play a little bit differently. They bounce a little bit differently. They come off the walls a little bit differently. They have a little bit different feel off the club. So for players like Mark and myself, who are United States Professional Miniature Golf Association members and play in a large variety of tournaments, including the US Open and the Masters, where we use our own golf balls, it does make the tournament play a little bit different. It does level the field, though, because everybody's playing with the same style ball. So after the 4 that Mark took on 6, that now puts him down by 1 stroke as we go into the sawtooth hole, named for that right-hand sawtooth channel that very few players will go for during a tournament. Most players opt to do what Mark and Dylan did here, go up the center. You're aiming for the right as it splits on the top, and then you hopefully let the ball roll on down. As Mark shows, you can have a nice tap into here. Dylan's got a little bit longer putt, not as testy though as if you were coming from the other side of the hole, which you can also get to if you go down the left-hand channel on that hole. This one is called flat top, so it goes up and back down, kind of a plateau type hole. A little bit tricky though. The speed, very, very much in play here. You need just enough to get it over the top lip so it doesn't come back down, but once it gets to that plateau, it does tend to speed up, and you can find yourself way down in the back. There's also a slight right to left break that comes into play more the slower you hit the ball, and so both of those factors come into play. It's a fairly aceable hole, although in this year's tournament it did not play out that much as the players went through. And we see the unfortunate slide back that Mark takes here as Dylan lines up his second putt. He takes the 2 here. Mark will have a long second putt. Very difficult to make this from the back wall. Even though you are given relief, it just doesn't seem like enough to get a nice smooth stroke on the ball to try to make that deuce if you land back there. And we'll take a look here and see if Mark can prove us wrong. We slide the ball back here, leaving another testy putt. Although from this position, it's a little bit easier. You've played the break, you kind of know how it'll go. So we'll see what he can do in this area of the green. And he sinks it for 3. So now down by 2 as we go into the 9th hole castle. Play here is to try to just get it up and through the castle. You don't go up and through, you're going to end up in that channel down below, but up and through leaves you with a pretty decent deuce putt. So as we wait for these players here, talk a little bit about the tournament in general. As we mentioned, they were tied at 122, so a hair over 40 average for the tournament, which is a little bit higher. Generally, our winner will see 3 scores in the 30s, and if you can do that, you're pretty much guaranteed a top 3 space, if not going all the way. This is a course where skill will definitely put you into the upper tier and definitely have a chance for win, but at the end of the day, the way this course is designed, luck is really the competitor that's going to push you to that winning position. So we see both players get roughly the same bounce off of that, and Dylan knocks in his 2 shot while we go for Mark, who lines it up and will sink it. So after 9, we have a score of 22 for Mark, 20 for Dylan. This turns into one of the rougher stretches of holes. So hole number 10 is a well. You can see with the sign here, there's a left, center, right to it. Go through the center gives you the best chance for an ace. Unfortunately, there are many chances for the ball to come back. There are dividers within the well that can kick it back out, hit it too hard, even in the perfect place, it could potentially come back out. And if you're now hitting 3 and go off to the left or the right, you're looking at a 4, potentially 5, because that 4th shot, as we'll show from the side of those wells, requires an amazing bit of luck and bounce off of the before mentioned concrete walls. So Mark takes his lineup here. Perfect stroke right up through the middle. Mark knows it too with the fist pump. Go around to the side here and see how things line up for our competitors. A nice easy deuce putt for the highlighter. If you couldn't tell, highlighter gets his nickname from his wonderfully colored clothes that he wears during tournaments. Started first at the 2015 USPMGA US Open in Henderson, North Carolina. He bought his clothes, outfit stuck out, name stuck, and he has ridden that through the next 3 years, and as he has done so, has done quite well in the tournaments. So we see Dylan finally tap in for a 5, so things have now swung all the way around, and we see that the highlighter is now up by a stroke. In the Putting Penguins preview of all the different holes of this course, we did mention that the hole 10 could be the place where you could swing 2 or 3 holes, and we look prophetic at this point now, having a 3-stroke swing with that hole. Hole 11 goes up and over a water hazard, not usually in play for the tournament players. Very hard to get an ace here. You want to get the right set of angles as we go through. About where the highlighter landed is one of the best places you can actually play off of the tee shot. That is a nice, safe 2-putt, pretty straight putt from there. Really good play on his part there to play this one conservatively. And Dylan's got a much tougher putt, although coming out of that corner is a little bit better. He could be a couple more feet back with that bounce and be much more difficult, but slides it just past the cup again. So now we'll see how he finishes this up, but we'll definitely lose at least 1 more stroke here on the lead. But he gets the 3, so we are back in action here. Vicky is up by 2 strokes. We've had quite a swing back and forth here over these various different holes. Amazing to see. Not a lot of aces, so not exactly a Tiger Phil Mickelson at the height of their powers slugfest here, or even when we think about some of the European mini golf tournaments that are very ace driven, and we get a lot of back and forth aces to twos. Not quite what we're seeing out of the final round here, but exciting nonetheless. The barn, you can't quite see, or you might be able to see through the bushes, goes up and down. It's a little bit of the timing. Pace again once comes into play. Very hard to ace. About the best you can do there with Dylan's tap into. Mark's got a little bit more of a putt here, but it should be makeable. What you're usually hoping for with the tee shot is just run into the back wall and have it come back for a nice easy putt in, walk away, go to the next hole. As we get to the back of the course here, we may lose a little bit of the video as we shoot, kind of switch over from the Wi-Fi that's sitting at the front of the course to cell coverage. So we'll try to talk you our way through some of this so you know what's going on if you can't tell too easily from the video. And as we get to the back to the last holes, we'll pick up the better coverage as we do this live stream for Facebook. So this hole here, called the bank shot. Square in the middle that you want to bank over to the right, and unfortunately Novicki slides it past the right hand side and is now deep in the corner there. He'll have a minute or two to think through how he's going to survive and get this back as Dylan gets his ball very well placed for a nice easy 2 here. So very likely a chance to pick up a stroke. It is a makeable 2 from there. Very hard to do. Most players will try to come up and settle and just walk away with a 3. And Novicki ends up running the ball back almost towards the tee. It stayed on, so no penalty stroke. Lucky him, but now he is sitting 3. And as we go to finish up the hole, this will be a 4 most likely. Yes, it's an M4, and we are back to even as we go into the 14th hole. Unbelievable. Video breaks down a little bit here. 14th hole up at the top has a roundabout that comes down to the green, and Dylan's shot gets hung up in the roundabout. He is going to have an amazingly long putt. Very low probability for a deuce that comes out of there. So we'll have to see what sort of luck that Mark gets as he goes through. This could be another swing of the lead here as we sit all tied. Marks gets through, comes down right towards the hole, leaving him with not a bad putt for the deuce. This is one of the holes that has some of the best, biggest breaks on the course. From where he is, though, it's a pretty straight putt. Doesn't have to play it too much. Maybe a shade to the outside of the cup. Really couldn't ask for a better place. A video skipped a little bit there. He did get to 2. And Dylan, I wish we had a better video of that. He made an amazing 2 as it came down off the curve, ran it all the way down. And that leaves us still tied with just 4 holes left. Hole 15 here is called the Narrows. You go up over a little bridge, down the channel. Unfortunately, the angle of those back concretes just does not kick it right towards the hole. Very hard to ace this. So most of the time you're just playing for a nice setup 2, like we saw here from Dylan, just out to the side of the hole. Mark lining up his shot. Once again, these players extremely quick off their tee shots. Almost not enough time to discuss what they're doing as they go through. Almost identical shots here, about the same distance and angle for both of them. Dylan knocks his in for the 2. And we wait to see. And Mark sinks his. As you can tell a little bit, we've got our crowd gathering here as the remaining tournament players come to watch the battle. 3 holes left, all even. Dylan decides to go around the world and kicks his ball out. Relatively okay second putt. There's a little bit of break to it. Now the highlighter making a decision. His normal play is to go up that middle small channel there. High probability for ace if you can get into it, but a lot of room for mistake early on. Wish we had the show of the tee shot. It's a little bit offset, not the easiest putt. Most players opt to go either to the left or the right and play the 2 here. The highlighter decides all or nothing and goes up the middle. Let's see how he does. Lines up. Oh, almost gets rewarded with the ace-4, but ends up with just about the same putt. A little bit shorter distance, a little bit better lie off of that. Should break a little bit less from where he is. So let's see how he finishes this up. Does he get rewarded with the 2 after making that move? Yes. Now the pressure's on here. So definitely one of the harder deuce putts. Definitely makeable though. Let's see. Yeah. And it does. It breaks towards those plants from where you are on there. Dylan knew it, tried to play it, just missed it. That 3 puts Novicki up by 1 as we go into the last 2 holes here, hole 17. The waves, you want to get it over the first 2 bumps and then let it settle in the canyon between bumps 2 and 3. Hopefully it rolls out and you got a nice tap into the least aceable hole on the course. Not impossible, but we'd put those percentages about 1 or 2%. I think we've gone many, many tournaments in a row now without actually seeing it aced in tournament play. So Novicki rolls his ball up, and yep, looks like he's got just the right speed. Ball comes out, settles for what is a very easy deuce putt. No break there, straight into a hole. Dylan, oh, plays it on the edge, just gets that top of the 3rd mound. It's going to roll down. Likely see both of these guys tap it in, which will go down to now the final hole. That is a 2 for Mark, and we see a 2 for Dylan. All right, we're going into hole 18, the church. Church has got doors that open and close, so you got to hit that. Difficult to ace, does not come out straight. There's a little bit of a ramp inside the church, so you're hoping most likely for the back door, a little bit of speed to cut through some of the breaks, see if you can't get it just to settle back down. Mark going first has got the advantage here. He can really just play it for a safe 2, and that would put the real pressure on Dylan. And, ooh, Mark runs a little bit further back than he probably would have liked. That's not going to be an easy deuce putt from almost back into that church channel there. You really want to keep it in the square to have the easy putts. Oh my, in the background, our 45th president apparently looking on. Well, that was a shock to see that man in the gallery. And here we go. Novicki lining up his shot. This could be the winning putt. He makes it, and it is tournament over. Pauses for the breeze. If he gets it, this would be his first time winning the Farmington Miniature Golf Tournament. So want to take his time on this putt here, and he gets it, and that is it. Great play by him. Novicki has now won both the Matterhorn International Tournament and the Farmington Tournament in the past 12 months. 2 biggest tournaments we currently have in Connecticut. As we watch Dylan slide it back by, he takes the 3 to end it, and a chest bump with the cameraman to end our tournament here. Thank you, everybody. You can find more of us and our commentary and our videos at www.thepungpenguin.com.